good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. We are starting our 2 p.m. board meeting. If we could start by standing for the pledge. Bob, would you like to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you, and now I'll turn it over Jim for invocation.
Well, actually, we had scheduled today the Pastor Daniel Orellana. Is he here today? He's not here today.
Maybe he doesn't know it's a 2 o'clock meeting.
It could be. So I guess we're not gonna have to redo the invitation today. We only ask that you, remember that you are in a public place and that we should treat each other civilly and with respect. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Okay, for now we will start with announcements. A couple announcements. Alive on 25 starts tomorrow, July 3rd at 5 p.m. in downtown Riverhead. We will also have the fireworks starting at 9 p.m. So hopefully everybody will come down and enjoy it. Enjoy the vendors. We have restaurants and fun for the whole family. And, you know, last year the fireworks were absolutely spectacular. So please come down and join us, and they will be just as good this year. And it's a great way to enjoy the downtown and see all that it has to offer. So hopefully you'll join us down there. There's a community blood drive on Tuesday, July 9th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Riverhead Senior Center at 60 Shade Tree Lane. Walk-ins are welcome, and for more information or to call to make an appointment to donate, you can call Kelly Tachi at 631-727-4444. Touching, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. The Veterans Advisory Committee is searching for veterans who attended Riverhead High School to add to the Wall of Honor. Applications are available here in Town Hall and at the library, and should be returned, they can be returned to, Diane, can you take them in your office if they come in? Sure. Yeah, they can be turned into the town clerk's office. Art in the Parks returns to Grangeville Park this summer and invites you to be part of the Luminous exhibit through Riverhead Rocks. That was presented to us a couple of weeks ago at one of our work sessions. This is a way for individuals to show off their creativity by painting rocks that will glow under the backlights in the park this summer. So that's a really fun thing to do. And you can contact Diane Tucci or Amy Fideli at dtuccimedia@gmail.com or call 631-209-4244. Scheduled paint nights will also be held at Grangeville Park during each of the Art in the Park events.
And I believe that's July 18th is the first one, right?
The first one, I think that's the first date of it.
Yes, I think it is.
Art in the Park Reflections.com is the full schedule for that event. And just a reminder, for your emails and letters to be made part of the public record, at a town board meeting, you need to send them to the town clerk, Diane Wilhelm, and you can email townclerk@townofriverheadny.gov, or bring them or mail them into 200 Howell Avenue, Riverhead, New York, 11901. And also, we have Hawk Woodson with us today, so we'd just like to wish you a happy birthday.
Well, come
Happy
on, spit
birthday,
it out, let's
Hawk.
go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Hawk James Walton. Happy birthday to you.
But I'd like to take this moment to thank the town board for inviting me here. Well, actually, my birthday's tomorrow, July 3rd, as you know.
We could have changed the meeting.
No, I don't want you to do that. That's all I want to say. Thank you, and thank for everybody for letting me work for the town for 13 years. I appreciate it very much, and I wish everybody a happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hawk.
I wanted to talk a little bit before our meeting begins about some things going on at EPCAL. So I wrote down a few thoughts. Yesterday was the ribbon cutting at the EPCAL Trail. Kudos to the many who worked to bring this to fruition. Jody, George Bartnick, Al Krupski, the Alternative Safety Committee, our engineering department, the Buildings and Grounds department, and the supervisor who helped move things along. Already being used daily by countless residents, the trail is a beautiful asset to our town. In fact, it's a gem to our entire region. Ironically, this ribbon cutting took place less than a week after a local resident and the press alerted us to a proposed development plan for the EPCAL property that was secured through the DEC. The attorney for CAT responded to the release of this information by stating that this was merely something prepared in the course of our due diligence. It is a very detailed report, and pages of the document are labeled Proposed Development Plan. The town board has been asking CAT to come to a work session and show us a development plan for weeks. Why do we have to finally see a development plan that was already brought to the DEC in the press? If CAT has already spoken to the DEC about development plans, they need to speak with the town board. We are the lead agency. By all accounts, the proposed development plan looks as though they are building a cargo airport or a facility to service major aircraft. The size and scope of this project looks massive and could negatively impact our area and frankly, our entire region. We have already been bombarded with helicopters and seaplanes flying over areas of our town every few minutes, Thursday through Sunday. Imagine throwing 747s and C-130 type of cargo aircraft into that mix. Along with the quality of life concerns, the environmental disturbances could be severe. Are they really looking to reduce and rearrange the critical habitat protection areas? Certainly no one will be taking a leisurely stroll along our new beautiful EPCAL trail. What about the high-paying technical jobs we have been promised? I don't think airports bring these type of jobs. We were gifted the EPCAL site by the Navy with a plan that it would be developed in a way that helps our area economically, and I want to see that. But it has to be the right kind of development, and this is beyond anything that has been studied. The contract for this sale failed us by depriving the town of a monitoring role as the project unfolds. Some will caution against jumping to conclusions about what is being proposed. But there has been a veil of secrecy over this entire sale and plan from its onset, which is certainly a cause for grave concern. To say I'm concerned is an understatement. From the beginning, we knew little about CAT and their plans to develop one of our greatest assets. Why other members on the board did not share these misgivings is beyond explanation. The time is now for us to hear what CAT has to say and to hear from the outside counsel that we hired. Our entire community is concerned, and rightly so. As their representatives, it is our duty to demand answers on this. We need to see CAT and development plans at a work session immediately.
On another note, August 10th is the cardboard boat race. So I want you to point that on your calendar, because that's going to be a rain date August 11th as well. So bring it back. You got it up?
Thank you for reminding me of the cardboard boat race.
Yep, August 10th. There'll be a resolution next meeting.
Better get pumping those muscles.
Yeah, I know.
And the Veterans Advisory Committee is seeking out people that may be interested in serving on the committee. We have a few people that have very busy schedules that have not been able to attend meetings for a couple of years now, so they are submitting their resignation letters as requested by the committee. And if anybody's interested in serving on the Veterans Advisory Committee, please send your desire to do so to the town clerk. Thank you.
Now we can move on.
Anybody else?
Jim, you want that?
What's that? I'm not a veteran, unless you consider retired police veterans. but no, I'm not.
All right. Can I have an approval first and second for the minutes of June 18th, 2019, 6 p.m.?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. You want me to just go into
Under
reports? Sure. Under reports, the building department submitted their June monthly report, $45,181.71.
Right.
Tax receivers submitted their total tax collection to date as of June 25th, $158,835,162.16. Town clerk monthly report for June, $14,334.74. The Riverhead and Jamesport Fire Districts both submitted their 2018 financial statements. Under correspondence, we received Conservation Advisory Council, an application approval for National Grid gas main extension at the Riverhead Aquarium. Newmark Knight Frank sent a letter with attachment from Haugland Group, I hope I'm saying that right, proposing the development of a solar farm on the EPCAL property. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. At this time, we have one public hearing, the continuation of a public hearing from April 2nd, 2019, and May 22nd, 2019, the consideration of authorizing various actions to be taken with regard to blighted properties known as 1501 through 1595 West Main Street, Riverhead, and 849 through 853 West Main Street, Riverhead, respectively, to bring about compliance with Chapter 217 of the Town of Riverhead. At this time, we would like to adjourn that hearing until August 6th. So, Bob, we won't take any public comment, we just, or
I mean,
do
if
we listen?
anyone's here who wants to make
Okay.
a public comment, they could.
Is there
but-
anybody that wanted to address the board on this public hearing? Seeing nobody, I would like to adjourn it till August 6th.
And that would be at 2 p.m.
I believe at 2 p.m.,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Very good.
All right, at this time, we will move on to resolutions. If there's anybody that would like to address the board on any of the resolutions, I know Vince, did you wanna, this would be, if you wanted to come up and speak, that are on the agenda?
Oh, Vince,
Yes.
Yep, Vince, if you wanted to come up and
Sorry,
address
Irene.
the board, you can address the board now instead of waiting till the end.
Can I do it from here?
Yes, if you'd like to,
Okay.
sure.
Is that the
All right.
airplane day?
The resolution before the board is that they shut down our model airplane club. I had the opportunity and the pleasure of speaking with, Mrs. Prudenti from the Attorney General, from the Attorney's Office. And she explained to us that there was no way in hell that we could stay there. And as such, the resolution had to be, and we as a club, want to thank the board, all of them, and the Parks Department for this.
Vince, we're just gonna have you wait for 1 second, they just, I guess it has to
Pointing
be,
at me, I see that, what's that for?
they're bringing the mic to you.
yeah.
It's too late, I'm almost done. Okay, but I do want everyone to know that while we're leaving, we appreciate so much the support that the board has given us, or council, whatever you guys are, the council has given us, and the Parks Department. We couldn't have had a better support team anywhere. So, to you all, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
And we wish you the best of luck.
If we ever get a field, I'm gonna get you two guys, you two girls to fly.
All right, that sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
Thank you
Now-
very much.
Can I leave?
Yes, you can, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm not too sure what I could do.
Always check with the women first, right? Oh, cardboard airplane. At this point, if there's anybody else from the public that would like to come up and address the board on any of the resolutions before us, now you would come up. So you can just come up to the podium, state your name and where you're from.
Hi, Meredith Black, Meredith Black from the Benjamin Companies. I was just coming up, I didn't see any resolution with regard to the reduction in the units for the special permit. I was wondering if that was gonna be untabled today?
It's planned to be untabled. We'll have to see if we have the vote to untable it, but we do intend to untable it.
Thank you.
Okay, attempt to untable it.
Untable and withdraw because there's a new resolution now, right?
No, we'll have Bob explain if he wants to amend.
I did, but I mean, if you wanted to do that.
We'll wait till we get to that one and we
Yeah,
can.
please.
Hi, Matthew Glazer of Bold Media. One of our events we have in your town, which is the Riverhead Light Show, that should be on the agenda today to be voted on. I just wanted to take 2 seconds just to address, how it went last time. We didn't really have a chance to follow up with that. One of the things we had said when we intended to bring this event to your town was that it would bring a lot of tourism to people to Riverhead in an off-season, and hopefully help some of the local businesses and restaurants. Amongst other data, we had, and I have some maps I'd be happy to submit for the record if you guys would like to see, but we sold tickets in almost every single zip code in Nassau, Suffolk, Brooklyn, Queens, and we sold them in Connecticut and New Jersey as well. So, and of course Manhattan. So with that in mind, we actually did end up seeing somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people over the course of those weeks. Never at once, of course, but it did bring a lot of great business to the town during a time when it definitely needed it. So with that in mind, and again, living up to the covenants which we had accepted, including the police presence if necessary, and so on and so forth. Not only was the event well taken care of, and I understand that, I got a chance to see some of you folks attend the event yourself, as well as I'm sure people that are in the room here. It was very well received. It was a great family-friendly event, and we look forward to hopefully bringing that back this year. Again, there was never a traffic concern as per, our investigation when we proposed it initially, and, nothing is changing in that respect. It'll be the same event, only a little bit bigger in terms of, some new displays, some additions to the area to make it a little bit, a little thicker in terms of the visual, but it was very well received, and we hope you guys would want to have us back again, so that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
It was very well done, but
It was a really nice family event.
it was very well done, very well put together.
Anybody else that would like to address the board on any of the resolutions? Seeing nobody, we will move on to resolutions.
Resolution 505.
Do we want to take
Yes.
505,
Small
506, 507, 508, 509,
Yes.
and 510 together?
No, not
Not
509.
510,
Well, they're all to appoint personnel.
The ones that-
510 is for transfer of highway
Oh,
fund
not
balance.
510, I'm sorry,
Okay.
509.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we take resolutions 505, which appoints a part-time rec aide, 506, which appoints call-in rec staff to rec department, 507, which appoints seasonal lifeguards, and 508, which appoints a seasonal park attendant, and 509, which ratifies the appointment of a seasonal recreation aide, all together. So move those 5.
Well, you can move them and vote on them for a vote together too.
Yep.
So we don't have to,
Right, so move.
all right.
A second.
All right, have a first and second for approval of resolutions 505, 506, 507, 508, and 509. So moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 509 through 505 through 509 are adopted. Resolution 510.
Ratifies the transfer of highway fund balance for delivery of RCA. So moved.
Just we need to ratify this because to amend it, I'm sorry, to amend it, to increase it by $15,000 to $90,000, so that they can, rent the screeners, and that would be, it's a follow-up to fund the resolution at the
Yep.
end, which is, 532,
Okay, so I'd like to
534.
amend resolution number 2019-510, ratify the transfer of highway fund balance for delivery of RCA, and increase the amount to come from fund balance from 75,000 to 90,000. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 511.
Approve A&A sewer.
This is the sewer and drain maintenance.
This is a new drain layer.
Yep.
I had 2 of those for some reason. Okay. Approves A&A Sewer and Drain Maintenance Incorporated as drain layer for Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 512.
Authorizes supervisor to execute change order number 1, construction of pre-stressed ground storage tank at Plant 15, Riverhead Water District. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
That's a savings, yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 513.
Calverton Development Partners LLC, Tractor Supply Water Main Extension Water Capital Project 60090, budget adjustment. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 514.
Authorizes attendance at Microdyne Nadir Advanced Separation Technologies in Austin, Texas for our sewer district superintendent, and the trip is paid for by the company to introduce the technology. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 515.
Authorizes the supervisor to issue a letter to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services allowing the use of Pine Barrens credits that originated from property located in Riverhead, and that would be property of Daniel Velasco, PEPC. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 516.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute renewal option for lease agreement with Joe Petroselli, J. Petroselli Contracting Incorporated for the Town Historian Office at 542 East Main Street, Riverhead. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, I'd like to thank Mr. Petroselli for offering that space at a nice price for us. Nicely discounted price.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 517.
Authorizes the termination of a Town of Riverhead Park and Recreation rental agreement authorizing use of a portion of the town recreational park by the Riverhead Air Force RC Club. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 518.
Order calling public hearing regarding lateral sewer main extension for 1133 Old Country Road, Riverhead, former Sergeant's Recreational Center, and adjacent former Blockbuster Video Facility. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 519.
Awards bid for Highway Department grinding of town yard waste on site at the Southside Youngs Avenue Yard Waste Facility. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 520.
Would you wanna take 520 and 521 together?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, can I have a first and second to take resolution 520, awards bid for snack vendors Stosky Park, and awards bid for snack vendors Wading River Beach and South Jamesport Beach?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 520 and 521 are adopted. Resolution 522.
Awards bid installation of water mains and appurtenances, NERP Holding Tractor Supply Company, Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 523.
Awards request for proposal for Youngs Avenue landfill, post-closure maintenance and monitoring, and authorizes supervisor to execute an agreement for such services. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
The numbers are in here now, so yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen
Were you
Smith.
getting nervous?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 524.
Extends bid for annual diesel generator maintenance for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Did you want to do these
Yeah,
together?
can I, take resolution, 525, 526, and 527 together? They're all, approval for chapter 255s, located at the Island Water Park?
No, Long Island Sports.
Long Island Sports Park, sorry.
Wow, I really wanted to get into this first one. Okay,
Okay, so
I,
if we could take them together, but,
Okay.
okay, let's,
all right,
cover first and second?
I'll move them together.
Can I-
Second?
I have a first and second, and we just need, I would like to have some discussion on this. I would like to, Jeff Murphy, if you would like to come up. We had some discussion over this, whether they were in compliance with their site plan to be able to, well, no, that's why we'll have Jeff come.
I saw there was a notice of violation that was issued.
Good afternoon, Jefferson Murphy. As of today, This afternoon, John Flood, our environmental planner, who's here in the audience, went out to the site. Per the condition of approval for the Rugged Maniac race, the applicant was supposed to remove all structures within the wetland area, including targets for the frisbee golf, and for the running races through the wetlands, and also install an orange safety net type fence along the entire perimeter of the wetlands. That conditions has not been fulfilled as of this date.
Okay, so is it the pleasure of the board to table these, do you want to vote on them, or would you like to table them?
I think we should table them.
I think we should vote on it because this has been ongoing for a year and a half or more now. No sense to table it and give them another chance, cause, sorry, not in my look, not in my eyes.
Any comments to table or to vote?
I agree with Tim.
Well, I mean, you can always approve the conditions too.
And to the gentleman who got up and spoke, from what I understand, the Holiday Light Show was spectacular. But you've got to talk to the man that runs that property, cause he's not been in compliance. He's been given every opportunity to come into compliance, says he's going to, and never does it, so.
You can't
Yeah, come up
address
with-
from the audience. We'll let you come up we don't usually go back and forth, but.
My apologies. I just want to say that, you know, I'm aware of this back and forth with the property leasee and the town board. You know, obviously, I do want to just say, you know, this event has absolutely nothing to do with any of the conditions that were set out for any of his other events. The only relationship we have as a company with him is that he allows us to use his land as a sublease. We're not involved in any way, shape, or form with any of the other events, so if the board would consider voting as them as separate entities, we have his financial gain in this. If there's any kind of, intention to, bring him back into compliance, this event has nothing to do with any of the precautions set out with relation to his other events. We're not involved.
But your
with them.
event does have everything to do with it, cause that property can only be used when it meets the covenants and restrictions that have been put on it through site plan approvals. That has not been done, so nothing can be run up there till that property is taken care of properly. Hasn't been done, he's been given, like I said, a year and a half of talk, I'm gonna do it, hasn't done it, so it's time for the town to put its foot down.
With respect, Councilman, I agree with everything you have to say. I mean, it is outrageous, honestly, and it's been brought up multiple times in board meetings, so there's no back and forth in that respect. With respect to this event, though, not only has the event been held separately, there's no people out of a vehicle, so all of the concerns with regards to safety, which of course we share, none of those are applicable in this one instance, because nobody ever exits a vehicle. So from this, with respect to the wetlands and people, God forbid, tripping or falling into any of the lakes on property, it's completely, a separate
You have enough
concern.
time, you've applied early enough for the application, so we're going to take the application on its merits right now with the property that is not in compliance with its site plan. It doesn't negate you applying again if they come into compliance, so I would go and talk to, who you're leasing the land from, and inform them that they need to correct this so that you can hold your event. Because the site plan needs to be in compliance.
I understand. I hope that the board would just consider, as I said, that, we are, our event really does take public safety into the I know this is all in
I
interest of
understand
public
that, but
safety.
the property itself is not usable for the purpose of your event.
They don't have the ability to lease it
Government
without being in compliance, so, thank
And out
you.
of respect for our department heads and for our code enforcement that has been following up with this applicant, telling them what they need to do over and over again, and wasting staff time by sending letters, telling them what they need to do. I mean, I hear that a lot, is that out of respect for the department heads and for the code, I can't see tabling this application. I think it needs to be denied, and maybe he'll start taking us seriously.
All right, so I have a first and second, I'm gonna call for a vote on resolution number 225, 226, and 525, 526, and 527.
Okay, Kent,
Yes.
this is for,
Is this for the motion? Did
this
you-
is the motion,
You're
Oh,
voting
wait.
on whether to approve these or not.
Okay,
Oh,
So-
then I'm gonna change.
okay. We're not,
No.
Kent?
Yes.
Are you voting yes?
You voted?
Voting no.
You're voting no?
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
that's all right. Hubbard?
No.
Giglio?
No.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
No.
The resolution is not adopted. Resolutions 525 through 527 not adopted. Resolution 528.
Authorizes Riverhead Planning Department to circulate request on behalf of the town board of the town of Riverhead to assume lead agency status for the purposes of secret review for proposed amendment to Town Code Section 301, Article 52, Commercial Solar Energy Production Facilities. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 529.
Authorizes Riverhead Planning Department to circulate request on behalf of the town board of the town of Riverhead to assume lead agency status for the purposes of SEQA review for proposed amendment to Town Code Section 225, Environmental Quality Review. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 530.
Accepts retirement of the Water District Superintendent. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Well, Mark Conklin has been a very valuable employee. I think he sets the bar for, being a great department head in this town. He's always working, and he will be sorely missed, and I wish him well. I vote yes.
Hubbard?
I've never met anybody that has the work ethic or constitution of Mark Conklin when it comes to running a department. I wish him nothing but the best, and I thank him for his many years of dedicated service to the town.
Giglio?
I agree with Catherine and Tim. He's been a valuable, very valuable employee, and our water district has really improved by having him at the helm, and he will be sorely missed, and hopefully we'll be getting somebody to replace him soon. I'll vote yes.
Wooten?
I've known Mark and worked with him for over 35 years in this town, and I vote no. I'm not letting him go.
Oh, you're sitting there. Jen Smith?
Yes, and I have to thank Mark. I mean, when I came into office, Mark was ready to retire, and he agreed to stay for a period of time to be able to talk about the water district, see what our capital projects were that needed to be done. So I thank him for giving us that extra year. I wish him the best of luck. He will be sorely missed. He has really been an asset to our town and to our community in providing us with clean, safe water. So thank you very much, and good luck in the retirement.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 531.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a stipulation of agreement with the Civil Service Employees Association Incorporated, Local 1000, AFS-CME, AFL-CIO, Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local Number 852. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
And I'd like to take a moment to thank our entire negotiating team for getting this done. I vote yes.
Hubbard?
I think it was a very fair contract. I think it was done very well to all those involved, and looking forward to moving on and getting this done. Yes.
Giglio?
I agree. We have great employees, and it's been a very long time that they've really been rewarded for their work. The budget wasn't balanced. We were always operating in a deficit. We finally had a balanced budget at the end of last year, and we have caught up. So I'm very happy to see that they're getting the increases that they deserve, and we can't pay them for what they're worth. Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes, and also thank you to the CSEA negotiating team. I think that it was, quite a few meetings that we met with them, but I think we came out with a fair contract that respects our town employees, and we appreciate all of the hard work they do and continue to do. And I'm very happy that we were able to come to an agreement on this, so absolutely yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 532.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a professional service agreement with Mark Conklin. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Well, Jim, you're gonna be happy. We're trying to reel him back in. I vote yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Well, I didn't let him go, so how could I vote yes?
Oh, vote yes, be inconsistent.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 533.
Pays the bills.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 534.
534 approves rental of equipment for use by the town highway department. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
This says 15,000 in here somewhere.
Yeah, the cap is 14.5 for the rental, and when the last resolved.
It's now therefore be it resolved.
Okay, yes.
Wooten.
What'd you say? Did you say
Jim.
Wooten?
I said Jim.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes,
Resolution adopted.
yeah, I got
Do
it.
we have one come up before?
I believe we do have a resolution that we would like to untable. Who has copies of that?
Did you have copies?
I don't have the old one.
somebody
It
did.
was 2019 458.
Do you have copies?
I have the old one.
John, do you have current copies?
I have the current one.
That's the old, you need the current one.
I don't know which resolution I have here.
I don't know when you gave me my
That's the original one that was,
This is the original?
that's the original that was tabled, that's correct.
I think we should untable it and withdraw it, and then adopt the new resolution. Bob, what's your recommendation?
Well,
I-
let's just, can I have a first and second to untable, resolution, which determines reduction from 300 to 277, authorizes unit of Riverhead Flag Corporation special permit and accepts declaration of covenants and restrictions to limit and exhaust all remaining rights to construct condominium units approved by special permit of the town board of the town board by resolution 680 dated November 3rd, 1982. So can I just have a first and second to untable, and then we can discuss it?
So moved on table.
Second.
Moved and second to untable, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 458 is untabled.
So now discussion. So Bob, I will have you present.
Yeah, as we know, this one's been the topic of a lot of discussion lately, as well as a lot of meetings. Most recently on Friday with council who was representing the Bating Hollow Club and Sound Associates. The resolution that was circulated at the latter part of today, I think the later part of the morning today, we did a number of changes to it. It's, for all intents and purposes, not substantive, but it's been enlarged and added to with a little bit more of a recital of the history of the property, beginning in '82 and continuing forward to today. It also incorporated some changes that would mimic the language from the special permit from November 3, 1982. I think from the standpoint of the public understanding what's going on, it may be easier if we can bring the new resolution off the floor, if there's a willingness to do that, withdraw this one, and then adopt the one that's been modified, shared with Jane Kratz and council. And I think everybody, from my understanding, is comfortable with that revised resolution. That would be resolution 2019-535.
I don't think we have them, the problem is we don't have them labeled the same as,
The one you handed me, you said was the new one.
we don't have a.
That's the new one, that would be 2019-535. 535. Because,
And the original one was,
the original one was 2019-458. So I believe, originally I just wanted to do amendment, but I think the number of amendments would be a bit confusing. Again, although I don't think they're substantive, the end line is we're going from the 300 to the 277. We're allowing for a declaration of covenants to be filed. It's, I think, simpler and cleaner and more understandable for the public if the resolution 458 is withdrawn and the new resolution that was circulated earlier, 2019-535, be taken off the floor and adopted.
Okay.
And as far as public hearing goes, because they're not substantive changes, we don't have to have
The
another.
public hearing was to hear from the public
Public.
with regard to the idea and the concept of reducing the number of units from 300 to 277, as well as the concept of vistas filing a covenant restriction. So I don't believe that there would be any impairment or problems with doing it.
Because we're taking this off the floor, should I give the public the opportunity to come up and comment on this resolution?
I mean, I know it's
I
been
don't know that
circulated
there was
with the
anybody
players,
else.
but if there's anybody who wishes to come up, sure.
I'll just open it to the floor.
First, we have to withdraw resolution number 458, right?
I understand that, but we can, okay, seeing nobody to come up, so then we have a motion to untable, resolution
2019,
458.
458.
So we can vote on that, can I?
That's already off the table.
All right, so,
You can
well,
vote
no,
on
we
it.
didn't vote to take it off the table, we just had a
No,
first and
you-
second, and then we did a discussion.
No, you had a first and second that came off the table.
And then we discussed, but we didn't
Yeah.
vote to take it off, we didn't vote
I
to
think we had to
untable
vote,
it.
did we not?
I make a
it's
motion that
untabled.
we
It's
take
untabled. Yeah.
resolution number 458, it's untabled, that we withdraw resolution number 458. I make a motion.
I second that motion.
We just first and seconded, and then we had discussion.
No, we voted.
Okay.
Mark-
Right.
No, we had a first and second to take it off the table.
Right.
It was taken off the table,
Right.
then there was a discussion.
Right.
Now we're voting to withdraw.
You can vote to withdraw.
Okay, can I have a, first and second to withdraw resolution 458 and
Jody and Tim did it.
you first, and then you put the other one on the table, 458?
No, we voted to withdraw
one at a
resolution
time.
number 458, Tim seconded it, so now we have to vote
So
to
any-
withdraw it.
So, can we,
We made the motion to withdraw already?
Yep, and Tim seconded it.
and then at the same time, can we have to untable? What was that?
Let's do one at a time.
Okay, vote please.
Kent,
Yes, to withdraw.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes,
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith. Resolution 458 is withdrawn.
Now we need a vote to take it
Just
off the
wondering if
floor.
we can get instant replay like the NFL has.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need
Well,
it.
right, Denise,
Now we
you
All
need
put it
right,
up
can
on
I
the
get a,
screen.
can I get a, oh,
A motion to take one off the floor.
right, can I have a motion to take resolution 535 off the floor?
so moved?
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
I think that the planning board kicking it back to the town board and asking us to amend the special permit is, improper. Out of principle, the planning board could have just approved it with the limitations, and when I heard what the applicant went through with the planning board, I find it very troubling that the planning board is kicking it back to us for the special permit. So I'm gonna vote no.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 535 is taken off the floor.
Okay, so this is the vote actually for the resolution. So, can I have a first and second for resolution 535, determines reduction from 300 to 277, authorizes units of Riverhead Flag Corporation special permit and accepts declaration of covenants and restrictions to limit and exhaust all remaining rights to construct condominium units approved by special permit of the town board by resolution number 680 dated November 3rd, 1982.
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
I want to thank Benjamin Corp. for coming in and explaining everything to us with the covenants and restrictions, as I said, just out of principle. I know that you have the votes. If you didn't, I might have to reconsider my vote, but out of principle, with the planning board kicking us back to us, I say no.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 535 is adopted.
Okay. At this time, I ask anybody from the public that would like to come up and comment on anything to the town board, or bring anything up to the town board, please come forward.
Good afternoon. Are you doing a separate IDA?
Could you
We
just
will-
state your name?
Meeting?
of-
Yeah, I just
We're gonna-
want to,
We're gonna have the meeting after this meeting is
okay,
adjourned.
would you rather have comments related to EPCAL as part of the IDA or now? What's your
CD.
brothers?
Which, does it matter?
I don't care.
It does,
Okay,
it's fine, it's fine.
I'll just go ahead. I just
Yeah.
wanted to be clear on the protocol. John McAuliffe with EPCAL Watch, and I live in Rolling Hills and Riverhead. First of all, I wanted to thank Councilwoman Kent, and I wish you guys would figure out whether you're board members or council members, since
It's
website says one thing and your signs say the other.
Either
but
one is okay.
In any case, thank her for her opening comments, and I was a little surprised that nobody responded to that, but perhaps my questions might elicit some response. We were very disturbed, many people were very disturbed when these maps were provided by DEC to one of our members, and then they were written up in detail first in the Riverhead Local and then further in the News Review. One of the puzzling things on the maps is that they are identified with something called 555 Calverton. We don't know whether that's some sort of shorthand or whether there is now a third corporate entity somehow involved in this project, and we think that's one small point to be clarified. But I think the larger point that needs to be clarified is what these maps represent. Obviously, a lot of work and a lot of money went into preparing them, and it's not like there are other kinds of potential drafts that were also, or at least as far as we know, that are also given to DEC. This is the document that is out there now, and you can interpret it in several ways. It could be simply pushing the limits, trying to see what the Germasian family and 555 can, in a sense, get away with, that DEC will approve, and that could be for the purposes of further sales and promotion. Look, here, this is what we can make available to you. Or whether it is because they already have a potential client or contractor or purchaser, sub-purchaser in hand. I mean, what this map represents is an important matter to be clarified as quickly as possible. And I think in conjunction with the bringing in of an outside counsel, so that you're benefiting from the outside counsel's advice about how this fits into the contract. We were also concerned about the published reactions from members of the council. Two members of the council seemed totally gobsmacked, surprised by this proposal. Two other members seemed almost to expect it. Now, that may have just been the way the quotes were written, but it seemed as though this did not surprise you. In particular, we were concerned about Mr. Hubbard's reaction to the possibility of a cargo port, which is what fits with that drawing. In the News Review, you said it cannot be a runway. Can it be a cargo port? Yes, it certainly can. If it can be a cargo port, is that consistent with the intention of the town, of the population of the town in the referendum about a passenger airport? I mean, clearly the spokesperson for the Germasians makes that distinction between a passenger airport and a cargo port. But is the practical impact on the community immediately around it in the larger Riverhead area any different if there are passengers on planes or boxes of goods from some retailer distributor? It seems to us other than the question of people moving in and out to get planes, trucks would be moving in and out to bring goods, but especially planes could be moving in and out. Ms. Giglio's answer seemed to focus the runway question more on the original language about drones and aircraft, but even there, the size of the properties seems to imply a much different concept of development than in that pretty green roof building we saw, which looked like it was research and development with all of the bells and whistles that people might like to see now on a modern building. At any rate, this is all mostly questions, both questions about how soon we're going to find out from the Germaisians what they have in mind, and second, whether these, who knew about it, and when did they know it, in terms of the board itself, and specifically the question of whether a cargo port, in your minds, is potentially it potentially could be built there.
I think, we had the qualified and eligible, and, you were here for the qualified and eligible. What was presented at the qualified and eligible obviously was not the same picture as that was shown to the DEC. So I'm not gonna speculate what it is that they're doing there, but what I do know is they need to come in and address the board as to what their plans are there. When they came in for the qualified and eligible, they, one of their things that they had said was that they had were new to the project, they didn't have a lot of plans in place. I didn't particularly think that that was satisfactory to deem them qualified and eligible, and I voted no on that. And part of the reason was because this is one of our largest assets, and we should have a plan as to what's going to go there moving forward. And we have not received that. We have sent a letter back out to them at this point to come in and present to us what they plan on doing at the site. We have yet to hear back for a date for them. That was, I think, about a week ago or so. So I'm optimistically hopeful that they will be coming in soon, within the next week or two. This is a holiday week, but within the next couple meetings, to come in and present to us what their plans are. There's been a lot of time passage since the qualified and eligible, that they've been able to gather their information to be able to present to the board. So I'm looking forward to them come in and clarify what it is they have planned for the property there, and to share that with our community and with the board.
And as far as I'm concerned, those are just buildings drawn onto a plan. And it's based on the environmental review that the town did for the build-out, and it can't be done under a segregated review under SECRA. It has to be examined all at once by the town board when a site plan comes in for the entire piece of property, number one. Number two, like I said, it's just pictures on a piece of paper. It's not anything until the town board votes for what they intend to use the property for.
But why do you think they submitted such a large scale?
Because that's what was studied in the environmental review, and I'd like our planner, Jefferson Murphy, to get up and explain SECRA, and that you have to show on the map what your full build-out potential is in order to not segregate under the SECRA process.
So the full build-out potential means that,
10
in
million
your
square
mind,
feet.
that is a legitimate use of that land,
10 million square feet.
That's
is
all-
legitimate use of that land.
That's been said from as far as I can remember back. 10 million square feet was
And-
the full build-out of that property. And I believe you can even remember former Supervisor Walters saying that it probably would never happen because we'd have to put 6 lanes on the expressway, and William Floyd Parkway would have to be a 4-lane highway, and 8-lane highway, all kinds of different scenarios.
So they're presenting a plan
So
that
this isn't
you think
anything new,
can't
John. I
be-
don't know
yeah.
why you're making it
So-
sound that it is.
And what about the cargo
And also the
port,
fact
Tim?
about the cargo port, it makes me laugh because members of your group contacted me and said, you're letting Amazon go by the wayside. Well, Amazon was spoken to about that property. Amazon didn't have an interest in it. But if members of your group wanted Amazon there, do you think just trucks were gonna come and go for Amazon?
Yeah, I'm not aware of
Yeah,
that.
well, I'm
There was
aware
never
that
a
if Amazon
discussion.
came, there would be cargo planes
Yeah, there may
and
have been
trucks
individuals. There's
and
never a
rail.
discussion in
So,
Cal Watch or the
to
preceding
throw
committee
this stuff
on
out
that.
there and muck everything up again and try to, you portray things to the public that aren't correct. And you like to put your spin on it. And your spin on it just creates more questions for everybody when they should be focusing on the economic generator, that the potential of an economic generator that this sale of this property has should be first and foremost on every citizen, every resident's mind in the town of Riverhead. That's what that property was intended for. That's what that property is gonna be used for. That piece of paper that was submitted to the DEC is worth exactly the value of that piece of paper in your hand.
Well, it was very
Nothing.
nice of them to make that
DEC
investment.
DEC indicated publicly that that means nothing. 555's representation or CAT's representation indicated that really means nothing, and nothing has come before the town board yet. We have requested it to come, and we've been told as soon as they're ready, it will come. As soon as they have all their eggs in a basket, they're gonna come and show the town board exactly what it is they propose to do there. We've requested that, we're waiting for them to get back to us. Also, this board voted to hire an outside attorney. And I hear members of your group saying, well, the 3 Republicans. The 3 Republicans voted for that. The entire board voted for that. So I really wish that if you continue coming up to the microphone, that you speak the truth and not try to cloud things up for the public. This is a very complicated endeavor. And every time somebody gets out there and starts saying innuendos and saying things that aren't true, it just clouds the water for this. I can't wait for the day for this property to be developed, and I can't wait for the day that this property has jobs, that my kids and my grandkids won't have to flee the Long Island area so they can afford to have a job and work and stay on the island. That's what I'm adamant about. That's what I voted for. That's what I plan to see.
And cargo port, in your mind, is within the realm of possibility?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Passenger jet port, no. Cargo port, yes, there is a possibility of that.
We had several public hearings on the zoning. Several public hearings on the zoning when we were adopting it, and SECRA, and all the potential uses that could occur on this property. We had market studies done, we had analysts look at it as to what we've had volumes of pages saying that, you know, a racetrack, no, but a private club, yes. I put in the zoning, no passenger aircraft. So this was all discussed at public hearings.
I sat through the Q&A, and I don't remember a discussion
way
of
before you.
the.
I
Wait, this
don't
may
remember you
be.
when we were talking about this
Yeah.
10 years ago, but
Yeah, well, that's,
you should do some research.
I
There's been a
don't-
lot of work that went into this.
I don't know that a full 10 million square foot cargo airport was one of the SECRA reviews. There was some other things, but
It'll
I
never
don't
be
know
10
that that
million.
was specifically studied as an option.
Jeff,
The
do you
infrastructure
wanna
could,
get up
infrastructure
and
could
talk on
handle 10
this?
million.
A cargo airport was never discussed. And I think that we should be thinking about the mass and the size of this project. I think, yes, we want it to be an economic generator, but our quality of life in our area matters too.
If you think for 1 minute they're gonna come build 10 million square feet,
I think we're
It's
naive.
not gonna be in our lifetime.
But they
Then it'll be-
can.
we're gonna be
They-
bending
they-
hollow pushing
But
the
they
places.
can, and we're
Well,
naive,
that may be-
and I have to ask,
We can't speak
why
for the
do
next
we,
generation.
why do we consistently sit back and allow Cat to call all the shots?
They're not
We
calling
should be
anything.
not. I mean,
I-
at
I
this
don't- I-
juncture,
Filed an
we should
application.
be seeing a development plan.
all I can tell
A
you.
detailed development plan.
Catherine, I'm gonna say one thing, and I try to keep my mouth shut, because right now, we're working on hyperbole, we're talking about, articles that, it's ridiculous. The entire article was way premature, and this whole discussion is ridiculous, because, if you ask me, because we have not been presented with anything. We cannot comment on stuff that is, maybe could be, what if, who cares? Let's see what they're gonna bring first. Until they come here with their plan, and we can see it, and then have discussions about it, then we'll make our decisions. And then the public can come in and have their say. But to think about, oh, well, I saw a picture with 10 million square feet. I personally don't think that will ever happen, it'll never happen in my lifetime, but I don't think that will ever happen, because I don't think the infrastructure around the island can handle it, whether it's William Floyd, whether it's 25, whether it's Expressway, I don't think it'll ever happen. But I think when they had to put their map together, they had to show the highest to show what they would do to protect their habitats and their environmental. That's what the DEC map was all about. So, we're talking about conjecture at best.
Right.
I can't comment on what if, and what about if this happens, or what about if that happens? No, let them come here, like we've asked them to, present what they're going to put together, and then we get something real to talk about. But I'm not gonna sit here and talk about what ifs.
but you will also have to have parameters then
Parameters are
about
set in
what
the
could
zone. They're
happen
sitting long while you guys were asleep at
afterwards.
the wheel, the zoning went into place. Then it already has parameters. Already has parameters. Zoning has been approved.
There hasn't been an application that has been filled out or submitted to the state, to the health department, or to the town. Until an application is submitted, after they've done their, which we heard from their counsel, who's in the audience, that they are working with different entities that may be coming here and bringing projects here. They don't wanna disclose who those entities are at this time until they've got signed leases and contracts for those businesses and those entities to come to the town. Once that is all in place, then they will be coming to us, and I'm sure that it will be in line with what they presented at the qualified and eligible, otherwise we will have a problem. And that is what our outside counsel is looking at now, is what are our parameters as town board members as far as what they presented in the qualified and eligible and what their application will look like when it comes in.
We as the board, John, will always have the final say.
Yes.
And that needs to be remembered. We will always have the final say. If they march in here with something that's inappropriate or the majority of this town does not want, we can reevaluate it. We have the final say.
Reevaluate it in the sense of throwing out the contract?
It depends, again, you're what-ifing. I don't know what if. I have to see what comes forward, and then I can make a decision based on that.
But, Councilman, that's the
I'm not
reason
gonna
why
speculate.
people react to the information that becomes available.
Well.
That there is if you read the way the representative of 555 expressed it, they said, oh, we will bring it to the board before we go to the DEC, but it was, the question that is not clear in that, is that the fait accompli, or is that a process in which the board is engaged? And also the extent to which, well, Mr. Wooten feels that these are all things that might happen in the future and not our concern.
It's not what I said.
Well, I'm sorry,
What I
that
said
was.
is the article was ridiculous at this time, that's all.
Well, but I think the
Ridiculous.
process,
Stirs the pot for no
I
reason.
mean, again, the outside counsel will help with this, but the contract was written
Stop
in
reading it.
such a
Stop.
way that it gave tremendous flexibility, openness to the purchases of the land, and not very many protections to the town. Now, I'm heartened, Mr. Hubbard, by if I'm understanding you, you think that if this is off track, then the whole process can go to reconsideration, even the nature of the contract.
The board will always have the final say. That's what I said.
I think the board has requested for Cat to come here and present to us their plans and update us where they are. We have put that request out, and I would hope within the next couple weeks, they would come in and present to the board where they are in their planning stages. We obviously know from what they've submitted to the DEC, they have had work put into it. Since the qualified and eligible, we have requested for them to come and present before us. We will see if they do and choose to come in or not.
And do you understand whether 555 Calverton is a new
We do-
legal entity?
We
or
have a
just
lot of
shorthand?
questions from
Yeah.
seeing that, but we also need an update on the plans. We've gone through the second due diligence period. We are moving forward with the contract. You know, this is, you know, they came in and they were speaking about wanting to work with the community, to have the community involved. They didn't want to put things here that was not, the community did not want to have put here. They were going to be available for economic generation, whatever they were bringing in. So we're looking forward to that update. There's been a lot of time that has passed since, and we would like to know where they are in being able to secure companies and what their plan is for the area.
I guess the last thing I'd say is to Mr. Hubbard that I'm not aware of any of the buy conversations you speak of, either about Amazon or about other questions. I mean, all I can speak to is what has taken place in the meetings, first of the Committee Against EPCAL Housing, and then, or the Coalition Against EPCAL Housing, and now EPCAL Watch, and those have not been suggestions made by that collective group. The other thing I'd say is that we are concerned as information comes out that if it is not questioned, that things become sort of an accepted new parameter, and we think that at every moment we have been as honest and direct as we can be, and it's usually based on other people with different expertise contributing it to our
Yeah,
discussions.
maybe you should, well, maybe and I can appreciate that from anybody in the public. I appreciate it, but maybe you should be careful where your sources are. Come here. Come ask questions from us.
Yeah, well, the question is,
that's why we
when can we
request-
ask
but
things
but
of
this
you,
is why
if
we're
not in
asking-
this session?
But that's why
Yeah.
we're asking Calverton Aviation Technology to come before the board, so that the board can ask these questions and ask what is going on and have some clarity to some of our questions.
I certainly
And-
hope they respond.
And I'm not surprised that they went to the DEC, because you know what? We had several meetings with the DEC about where the habitat preservation was going to be. As a matter of fact, the DEC wanted us to put topsoil and grass on top of one of the runways and create a grassland. How crazy is that idea? So the fact that they are going to be preserving a lot of the habitat, I would want to go to the DEC first too and say, hey, where do I have to stay away from and where can I build? That would be the first place that I would go to, because that's the biggest hurdle that the town had all those years in our subdivision map, which the 23 lots right on 25, to me, that looked like a retail development. Or someday, maybe a retail development for later boards. But,
So what you're saying, they didn't go with,
and the recreation trail would have been in the backyard of all of those industrial lots.
yeah, at this point, it's in the back of the big industrial buildings.
We
I mean,
have-
it goes right behind some of the
We
big
have
buildings.
not
Probably
received
thousands of feet away.
anything from CAT as to where they're putting buildings, where they're
Right.
not putting buildings, whether that one
don't know.
proposal versus another
hypothetical
proposal.
at best.
We have not received any information, and that's why we have asked them to come in to clarify where they are in their planning process and what they have, and have they secured any sort of anchor tenants, for a better word, because we certainly know it's not Daniel Preston anymore. So,
All right,
Well,
John, I'm,
let
yes.
me,
We don't
sorry,
know
Tom,
that.
you wanna
ahead,
go
go ahead.
first?
I'm sorry, you
Mr.
don't know that it's
McCullough,
not
Miss-
Daniel Preston?
No, we don't know that.
Okay, that's new news then.
Well, it's not.
Let me just say, Mr. McCullough and
Oh,
any
look at
other
the pizza,
resident
yeah.
in Riverhead has the right to come and speak here on any side of any issue. That's their right.
Who said
And,
that?
well, there's a
what?
little bit of an attitude towards someone coming and asking questions, which I think,
Well,
you
it gets
know,
frustrating.
residents are allowed,
Sure they
residents
are.
are allowed
Sure
to
they
do that. And yes,
As
at
long as
this,
I'm not told to
at
shut them
this
out, that's all.
at this point, I want to see some sort of development plan, and I wanna see it ASAP. I mean, we've been asking a long time, and we've seen nothing so far. We saw that, you know, vague
Right.
thing that they gave us during the Q&A. But as board members, we should be watchdogs of the town, and we should be monitoring the progress of this. So I'm not willing to accept, oh, well, that's full build-out, but they're probably not gonna do that. That's not enough for me. And frankly, I think that sort of naive,
It's not naive, we got nothing to look at.
attitude is what got us with such a weak contract in the first place.
Well, it's
We're,
just-
we're
thank
all
God that's your
looking
opinion.
towards the same goal at the end of the road.
Right.
I wanna see the
we want
I wanna
that
see it developed.
We all wanna see it, we wanna see
Right.
it developed in a
Right.
proper way.
Right.
That's the end goal.
Right.
John, I'm just gonna liken this to something, and by no means do I mean to compare one to the other, because one is very small and one is very large being EPCAL. A few years back, I wanna say it was 2013, maybe 2014, an organization by the name of Columbia Care made application to the town to put in a medical marijuana facility. And the town, at the time, this was before I got on the board, but I was sitting in the audience at these meetings, the town went ballistic over this, and there were all kinds of comments on the blogs and comments on articles. Oh my God, it's gonna be a crack den. Oh my God, there's gonna be crime. Oh my God, it's gonna get robbed all the time for the marijuana. What could be worse? Why is it Riverhead? Why do we have this? Columbia Care is probably one of the better companies that we have in this town. It's an extremely benign operation, provides a service strictly that they said they were going to do. People, children with seizures, elderly with cancer, getting treatment with medical marijuana. It was one of the best things this town has done in a long time. Yet, publicly, it took a huge beating. And I liken that, again, not in the size of the scope, because they're completely different, but I liken it in the end run, what we as a board, even though we're 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, we all see the same way and want something good to happen at EPCAL. I don't think anybody here is gonna disagree with that. What I'm saying is, sit back, don't say half-truths. Don't say things publicly that you're not sure about, or you just heard from somebody, or it's rumor. That's what creates the issues here. We need to know a lot more about what 555 is going to do up there. We do, there's no doubt about that. We're waiting for that information. But again, we as a board will have the final say. this is why I'm comfortable with the situation we're in now, and I'm comfortable in saying that I believe they are going to do the right thing, provide technology, aviation-type jobs where people can afford to live and stay here on Long Island. And that's my spiel.
I'm just gonna say something about Columbia Care. You know, I understand what you're saying, Tim, but I think there was a lot of community input with Columbia Care. They were originally gonna go into the old Blockbuster there, and it
Because
was
then the high school kids were gonna be
it was the
addicted to
community.
marijuana.
It was the community that spoke out and felt that they wanted to come into the community of Riverhead. They were one of the only sites being cited, as well as something on West. The community was the one that spoke up and said that they didn't want it there. The school districts, people got involved because the community got involved and voiced their opinions. And then Columbia Care came to the table and then worked with the town to be able to come up with a solution that worked best for the town. And that was actually moving from Blockbuster Video into another entity that was more of a medical service operation that was not directly on the main street next to a school. They also provided a lot of information as to access to the facility, how the signage would be done. So there was an incredible amount of public participation to get to the final end. And I think that's what we're saying here. There needs to be participation by Calverton Aviation and Technology with the community to be able to have this project be successful in the end, because it is a partnership in the end. Anybody that's going to develop at EPCAL, and it has to be a partnership, as with Columbia Care it was.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but again, the stories were the kids from high school were gonna walk over to Columbia Care, get their marijuana at lunchtime.
And Columbia Care
Kids at
took-
high school drive cars, they
But
could drive
Columbia-
to Columbia Care down here
but
and get their marijuana. The
Columbia-
realistic part of
Columbi-
it is that could never happen.
But
yet
Columbia-
people were stating that, and people were starting to believe that, and that's where the issue becomes a problem.
But
That's
Colum-
my point in making that
But
comparison.
Columbia Care realized that it was a place of concern in the community. Their location where they were located was a concern of the community, and they listened to the community and then
Okay.
changed their plans accordingly.
So I was on the board, and so was Jim, at the time that Columbia Care was coming here.
I had the sampling,
And
I was
Col-
sampling all of it, yeah.
Columbia Care did not want to be exploited by the town, which is why they agreed to go somewhere else. They did not want the name of Columbia Care being trashed. So that's why they said, you know what, we won't go to Blockbuster, we'll find another location. And that's when the hospital got involved and said, we want this here. That's when the cancer doctors got involved and said, we want this here. And that's when they decided that they were tired of being dragged through the mud by the town and they would go somewhere else.
I don't think listening to the community's concerns is considered exploitation.
Well, no, they were
That's not.
getting trashed.
But when
They were getting
mistruths are
trashed.
being spoken by the community and then it's published, or they publish it themselves as comments, that becomes an issue. That's all I'm saying.
there was two
When
sides.
mistruths,
Just to say,
just
one
as I'm
reason,
saying here.
reason there's mistruths is because we're just not getting information, and this has been a long time. And if you're out in the community, I'd say like 85–90% of the community residents here have serious concerns about the sale, and it's our job
Ooh,
to make
I don't know what
sure
community you live in.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's our
Maybe
job-
5
definitely
9%
don't.
of your neighborhood, maybe.
a high percentage. It's our job to, make sure that we and the CAT's giving us this information, because at this point, we should be seeing a more detailed development plan and not something that we get secondhand that we're reading in the press.
100% with you. Absolutely agree. 100%. But until the information comes from this town board, from a tangible piece of paper that we have in our hands with questions that we have about their development plan, and not some cartoon drawing that was submitted for Habitat that got foiled through DEC through the civic group, it didn't come out of government. There's a lot of talk around town about stuff that was never generated from those who make those decisions. It's still, to me, it's all, it's not worth talking.
But you
We
can
don't have
agree,
any.
you can agree that Cat should be coming in here to talk to us, to give us an update
We
on
all
what's
said
in there.
that.
Okay.
I'm not denying that, but until I can see what they got, and I can say, you're right, John. It looks like they're doing this, Mr. McCarthy, you're right. Let's fight it. No, I got nothing.
Right.
And I'm not gonna go on hypotheticals. It's
And we
ridiculous.
had asked for them to come in even before the qualified and eligible hearing. to present to the public and present to the community as to what their
I'll be the first
intention
one to
for
sit
the
down with you
property
if they
was.
come in with some
Way back when,
cockamamie
before the
thing.
qualified and eligible started, January of last year, I voted no for the qualified and eligible because I thought they should have come in and talked to us first, before we started that process.
Well, that's it.
I guess the,
Okay,
I
John,
would
your 5
hope-
minutes are up.
yeah, I would
because I'm
hope
gonna get
that
angry in a
if it turns out that a cargo port is an important aspect of the development plan, that you consider putting that to referendum.
I haven't seen the development plan.
No, I said if.
Oh,
If.
Well,
If.
Well,
mean,
let's talk about
remember,
ifs.
we have raised questions. We've not stated things are facts. We've asked questions based on the available evidence. And all I'm saying is that I think you would find from the community that the thought of a cargo port going in would lead to great dismay, and that should, in November, go to referendum before any steps
Well,
were
let's
taken.
won't
see
go to
if it
referendum, 'cause
happens
that's
and
not
if.
Okay.
Let's, and then you have to weigh both sides. I mean,
If they're
If that's the
creating-
case, John, then we want to hear from the public on that.
Right. If they're creating 5,000 high-paying manufacturing jobs and they're making something that needs to be transported by cargo to take out, do we say no cargo and no manufacturing jobs?
I think
If,
the shipping out of goods produced there is different than warehousing things, and I think you have to look at
You're right.
what's involved, but normally cargo port
It's-
involves a
it's
much more
hypotheticals.
transactional back and forth, things moving in and out. So, but in any case, I think that what I'm saying is that if there is something that is somewhere deeply hidden in their plans that is now may not actually be reflected
hidden
in
in
that
the
document, but may be in that document, then I hope that you will consider whether there are sufficiently grave questions that ought to go to the town for referendum and not simply be a decision of the board.
If there is,
Yeah, it's a
most
bit,
likely,
it's an if.
or maybe.
It's an if.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
too many ifs. I don't like ifs.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
it was gonna be a very short and sweet.
Yeah, right. I was talking hypotheticals against you.
Good afternoon.
Was that a sigh?
Good afternoon. Sid Bale,
Stir
President
up
of
the
Wading
song.
River Civic Association. Catherine stole my thunder with her opening statement, et cetera. And I had gone to the work session last week, and I sat through most of it, and then I left for the end. And I saw the end of the work session, and when the supervisor talked about getting Cat in here, the importance of getting Cat in there. And what I was a little bit upset about it seemed like it wasn't clear to me that you guys were as concerned as the supervisor was. You cleared that up, now? Okay, fine, okay.
Appearances are everything, I guess.
Well, that's show
fairness,
business,
Let's draw
right?
Sid, in
conclusions, let's
fairness, when
draw
I,
assumptions.
when I gave my quote to Riverhead Local,
Yeah,
I hadn't seen any of this. I
Right.
just went by what Denise was telling me, and she gave me a very accurate
Okay.
description on the phone, but I hadn't seen it, so it was tough for me to come up with a
Right.
really accurate quote on what it was going to be.
And
I understand,
don't agree with
and I
everything else.
accept what you said. But the discussion about a cargo port, and, you know, it's beginning to move out of the realm of just being purely hypothetical, as
The whole
favorite word.
discussion is.
Okay. I think some of John's comments were on the money in terms of, sure, you know, as Councilman Giglio said, you know, how are things going to get, to the companies that locate there, or the manufacturers that locate there, that have to be shipped out. But a cargo port, to me, is more focused than what we're talking about. I suggest respectfully that if this really becomes a main focus and not just a means to an end, that some of us really look very hard at what a cargo port would actually be like. You know, if you go online, the Port Authority has a good study of cargo port operations. in Kennedy Airport, et cetera, and all the ramifications. It's not an expose or anything, you know, coming from the Port Authority.
I don't think anybody up here is looking for that to happen.
That's right, right.
No.
No, but I'm saying the ramifications of when the focus becomes a cargo port.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a reason. You know, it would have implications, some beneficial and some not so beneficial to the quality of life in the area. And I think it would be a concern to everyone on the town board.
I don't think we should be in the dark as to what the plans are for EPCAL. I think
Right now we are.
I think
Yes.
that is the concern, and that's what we'd like to hear back.
That's right, right now we are.
And right now, I mean,
Can't talk about stuff we don't know.
the businesses that are in the core area of Bremen some of them have license agreements with the town to where they can have planes fly in and out.
Yes.
We had, you know, Skydive Long Island that had planes.
That to
up-
me isn't
up
a
and down.
cargo port.
I understand.
Yes.
And a cargo port is not permitted in the zoning unless it's accessory to what they're manufacturing there, just as the license agreements to
That's a
fly.
good point.
They
That's a
don't
good
have
point.
license
That's
agreements,
right.
it's exclusive to Illuminati at
No,
this point.
it's not. The Island International had license agreements where if they had somebody flying in from Germany to look up a mock-up of a wall or a curtain wall that they were creating, they could fly somebody in to go and look at that wall. It was for the businesses that were there that could fly in and out. That's what those license agreements were meant for.
Bob, do we have,
Move to
don't we have a exclusive license agreement at this time with Illuminati, and they have to go with Illuminati to be able
That's-
to use the runway?
That was with Illuminati, and before Illuminati, it was
Correct,
Skydive
it's-
Long Island.
No, but
Correct.
Jody, you're just,
Correct.
you know,
No.
we're talking about false information here.
No.
You're saying that
They-
there's current license agreements
somebody at the dais.
with other people, and I'm just clarifying that that is not the case anymore. It might have been previously, but when the license agreement was given to Illuminati, it was an exclusive license agreement to be able to use the runway. Somebody could contact them for use.
Right.
But they did not have an additional license
It
agreement.
was a license agreement for users that are within the park.
Anything else, Steve?
But-
Sorry, I know, it's nice to watch from out there, but did you see it up here?
No, I'm
nothing
I'm
else.
trying to be clear
Yeah.
about that, because that is not the case right now. We have one license agreement for the runway. Is that not correct, Bob?
Presently, but in the past, we did have license agreements with others, and we did allow people to come to the site to visit businesses. to
Not a
see what-
cargo port.
But,
Not a
no,
cargo, no.
correct.
That's right.
But I mean,
Correct.
Okay.
if Riley had a customer,
Yeah,
Riley's customer
sure.
would fly in and take a
Obviously,
look
I
at what product
understand.
they were offering.
Yeah,
But we don't have multiple license agreements, correct?
we did,
Currently, no.
No, okay.
we
thank you.
did before
But I would like to
Illuminati.
thank the local papers and Riverhead Local, et cetera, for at least
Stirring it up.
airing this, well, stirring it up, something good may come out of this. All right?
Thank
That there
you.
seems to be a consensus that you gotta get Cat in here
Yeah.
to give
Right,
some.
Been
that's
asking
the
for
only
that
thing
for
we do.
months.
I can't comment on anything else, that's all,
Thank you for your
make
time.
believe at
Thank you,
this point.
Sid.
And we all have been asking for that for months.
Okay.
And we have Kat's attorney here, so I'm sure he will bring the information back to them.
Grace Swift, Calverton. Can we change the subject totally?
I would pay you to.
Can we relax on another subject? Okay. I know tomorrow night's the first Alive on 25, and it's one of the most popular things we have. Last year, the handicap special parking districts that had been arranged from the previous administration, and Jill had drawn up, Jody was initiated that, and it got to Jill drawing up.
The handicap availability.
So when I got to one of the Alive on 25 last year, the first one, there was no one monitoring nothing, and the cones just got moved and regular. This would be particularly the north side by
Behind
the
the church.
Congregational
Yes.
Church, which gives a very nice flat out to Main Street. So then the next one I went to, they did have a security person back there, But the way they had it marked off, it didn't indicate handicap, and he was standing there all night and no one parked. It was empty because they thought it was totally restricted for no one to park.
Where was that?
And that was behind the Congregational Church.
That's a good point.
So,
We'll check
No,
with the chief.
no, I'm sorry, it's the Methodist Church. It's United Methodist Church on East Avenue.
now this is
That's where the
where the
handicap parking was.
We
Congregational
have, yeah,
Church
they go like
has
that, Benjamin
their
Place.
thrift shop,
Yes, right.
and it runs right along
Benjamin
that
Place along the
parking
church and along.
by
the-
there.
Yeah.
And the alley goes straight out,
Right.
which is
Right,
flat, which is, takes you into the good part where all the food trucks are.
We'll talk to the chief of police, to make sure that the folks that are out there have clear direction on where they can park and who can park there. I think they, Alive on 25, they have a map or they have some sort of parking plan. Where is that
We have
accessible?
already addressed it because it was an issue last year, and I'm the liaison to the bid. And we've had several meetings, but at the meetings, it was discussed about the handicap parking, that there's two things. It needs to be better advertised where it is. So they were gonna include that with their promos as to where you could get to with the handicap parking. But it also needed to be conveyed better to the infrastructure, i.e. the security and the police, in directing people to those areas. Because if you went to a cop on the east end of East Main Street, he may not have actually known where the handicap parking was. So those issues have been addressed, so it shouldn't be an issue this year. And they're gonna be monitored with people, so it's not just willy-nilly people come in and park and, take up spaces, and they shouldn't be there. It's been corrected, and hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed, we got it right.
Oh, great. Last year at one of the functions, I came in by the county center, and when we hit, well, it was before the new circle.
Right.
So it's probably the year before, I forget.
That was
There
another
was,
problem.
our police there at the circle directing you right back around because you weren't gonna come up,
Yeah,
Peconic.
you can come down Peconic
But-
and turn into the back parking lot to get to the
Yeah, but he
handicap parking
wasn't
now.
letting anybody get
That
down
was,
there.
that was corrected too. That was definitely a problem.
Yeah.
That was a problem. So those have been corrected, so
But
God willing, tomorrow night's gonna go pretty smoothly.
But Peconic will be closed off later in the evening as they move towards the fireworks. You will be
Yeah.
able to come
Yeah.
down and park in the
Yes.
north parking lot. So
Correct.
just later on in the evening, if it is open for a little while earlier, when it gets
Come
close
earlier.
to the fireworks, Peconic Avenue will be closed to come into the parking lot over there, because that's where people line up to see the
I think
see
they
the
close
fireworks.
the Main Street at 2:00 tomorrow.
No, but I mean for Peconic Avenue, if you're coming from the traffic
No, we're not
circle.
closed until 3.
When,
That's what the
how
sign
will
says, too.
people park
That's the
for
deals with the old
the
signs.
fireworks? I'm sorry.
Well, you can park till, I don't know what time they'll close that road off, I would imagine 8 o'clock or so?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes,
I
8
think
o'clock.
by 8 o'clock it
By
will
8
be
o'clock,
closed.
it'll be closed off, so you can park on the north side over there, and you could park further east or west. It'll just be the main area down there on Peconic Avenue that closes off later in the evening for the fireworks there.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Grace, I'm gonna look for you
Thank
down
you.
there
I'd
tomorrow
go
night.
sit over at the DA's office myself.
Grace,
It'd be
also,
the
if
best
it's
site.
after 8 o'clock and Peconic Avenue is closed, we still have that handicap parking behind, it's basically behind the bicycle store on Main Street, on the south side. But if you can't get through from Peconic Avenue, because it is closed off for the fireworks, just know that if you come in off of East Main Street by the Salvation Army, where they have it blocked off there, they should be able to let you go down along the Salvation Army to get to that handicap parking.
Yeah, the reason I particularly go for the north side is we come from the north.
Yeah.
Right,
Plus, if you park, on the south side for parking of the stores, it's uphill.
It's an uphill climb, right?
You're right.
Believe me.
I know.
You said-
I used to walk Main Street
You
as a
park
police
behind the
officer.
church. If you have any problem, park over
Yeah.
behind Tubbs, I'll
that's
give you a spot
great,
there.
yeah.
All right, thank you
Thank
for
you.
bringing it to
Thank
our
you.
attention. All right, anybody else? Seeing nobody, can I have a first, sorry. Well, could I have a first and second to close the town board meeting and a first and second to open up the, Community Development Agency regular meeting? So can I have a first and second for that?
So moved?
All right.
First and second,
Was that a second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So we are now in the CDA meeting. Can I have approval for the minutes for the regular meeting from June 4th, 2019 at 2 PM?
What meeting was that?
It's the June 4th, 2019, 2 PM meeting. Can I get a first for the
I
minute?
move we accept the minutes from June 4th, CDA meeting.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
And I will just open it up for comment for anybody from the public for the CDA meeting. Seeing
All you.
nobody, I will close the meeting. And can I have a first and second, can I have all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? So carried.
No, I oppose.
You stay here all you want.
All right, that was a meeting under 30 seconds.
Okay. I think